ain't got it. Broke, fat broke. We ain't got it. Don't spend no money. Ain't got no clothes. Ain't got no cars. Ain't got no hoes. We broke. Ladies and gentlemen. You're now listening. 1, 2. Broke. We broke.
Nyatsocheka, my settings, my runnings, hot property. It's 2 Broke Twimbos. We back with a fresh new episode. My name is Danny That Guy, aka Denius, aka The Only Guy, aka your girlfriend probably pities me, aka Dan More. When you look at my wallet, it's more like Dan Less.
That's right. And he's here with the one and only, the unmistakable, the irrefutable, most surely could be doctorable, questionably honorable, the one and only, Phil Chard, a.k.a. Flame Floss the Big Boss Baby, a.k.a.
Filter P,
a.k.a. Filthy Phil, a.k.a. Sexington Lovo, a.k.a. Shamari, Ditengero Drink, a.k.a. DJ Mkarat. Wanna know why, Dan?
Why?
Because we're the best!
Okay,
Switch it up on you.
Switch it up. I'm quite shocked and I'm bamboozled.
Got to keep them guessing, Dan. Got to keep them guessing.
Well done.
Yes.
So, you know what we like to do on 2 Broke Twimbos? We like to give you, the casual listener, both of you that listen to this blog, the inside scoop on what is going on in the world of entertainment. And by so doing, we get major players. Shout out to Chiller in the game. And we get them. Do you see me shining? What happened to major players? Anyway.
Did you hear their songs? That's what I used to say, bro. You remember their songs?
Yes, I remember them.
There we go.
So we managed to sit down with Taponeswa. You may have heard her name bandied about in our previous interviews because you know she's
out there.
She's out there in the entertainment world.
Oh my God, you're so kind.
No, we're actually quite serious. Like your name has actually come up, not even with us mentioning it, several times.
Yeah, it's
Cynthia.
Oh yes.
To listen to the Cynthia Mari episode, scroll up.
Okay, that's true.
I'm trying to remember who else.
Fiona.
Oh yes, Fiona.
To listen to the Fiona epised, scroll
up.
Yes.
And various other players
behind the scenes. You know, there's a lot of things being done. To connecting the dots here and there. You might even see her name being mentioned on certain Instagram posts when people sign record deals. You're like, thank you, A, B, C, D, E. Taponeswa!
So here's the thing.
Too kind.
In case you don't know what Taponeswa is, this is the whole story. Taponeswa is the lady that will ensure that I meet Tinashe and Rihanna and Boiti.
Of course.
As she looks away.
Of course.
Deleting the number from her phone. Yeah, so I think Taponeswa, if you don't mind, just I'm gonna call you Taps from now on because
that's okay.
I know
Taps is good.
I know
Taps
you like
good.
that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When we first met and started interacting, I knew
Yeah.
you were in the entertainment industry,
Yeah.
but I actually didn't know like to what extent.
Okay.
So when everyone just kept like sucking up to you and licking, I'm like, guys, it's just Taps. Why is everyone acting so weird around Taps? And then when it was broken down to me exactly how much influence you have, my mind was blown.
Well, thank you very much.
And don't worry about being formal because it's not a radio interview; it's a podcast. We're just being, you know.
Yeah, all 5 of our listeners.
Yeah, they're used to it.
I saw. I was watching one of your interviews with Casper Nyovest, and I saw that had almost 40,000 views or listens. Was it 50,000? Somewhere along that line. So please
YouTube
don't.
Views works.
Yeah.
Of which we don't like to brag, but we're the best in the industry. No one can touch us. Have you got 40,000 views on your blog? Huh?
No, you don't. Anyway, let's get down to it.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, just letting us know, just exactly what kind of sphere. What am I saying? What kind of position you hold in this entertainment industry?
Well, okay. So what? So basically, I was born here. I was born in Zimbabwe. I was born in a place called Bindura.
Oh, I know that place well.
Yeah, a really, really lovely place. It's actually called I've been told it's Kwamsana.
To the back.
In the back.
At the back.
Anyway, so I was born here, and then my parents moved to the UK first, left me with my gran, and then I followed suit. So I've been living in the UK since I was 4 years old, and obviously I'm only 21 now, but that's how it
Of course,
And
yes.
you've accomplished so much in that short space of time. It's amazing.
Yeah, so for the past
not
60
really.
or so years.
Not really 21, but I've lived in the UK all my life. I have a almost 13-year-old daughter, so it's been a long time.
So you had her when you were 8?
Kind of. Kind of. But, I've been working in the music industry in the UK pretty much for the past 15 years. For the past 15 years, I started out, literally because I'm one of those busybodies, just one of those people that like to organize things.
I've noticed
At my
that.
university, I was just like, let's bring the hottest comedian and the hottest fashion designer. Let's bring them together. Let's bring them to Luton. Because that's where I went to university, Luton.
Nice.
Shout out to all the Luton Massive. Anyway, so they would, so we would organise these shows. We would organise musicians, rappers, dancers, whoever. That was my busybodiness. And then that led to me being the vice president of the African Caribbean Society in Luton.
Because,
that's
your
basically-
Caribbean background. Mhm.
Absolutely. So pretty much that's where the hunger, or that's where the appetite, for the industry, even though I didn't actually know that was an industry, I just thought that I was doing what I loved. Fast forward, I graduated from Luton with a 2-1, actually, don't you know? With English, with journalism, and I decided, what do you do with that? What do you do with an English degree?
I was wondering the same thing.
What do you do with an English degree? Like you already speak English, so what do you do with it?
What you could do is start a class for Nigerian ministers.
Particularly Patrick Obahegbonon. I love that guy.
I don't want to comment. I don't want to comment.
Okay,
So-
let's continue this crinkle crankle that you're telling us about.
So fast forward, and my dad was pushing me to be a teacher. Be a teacher. That's very respectable profession. It's a very respectable profession, and I took a year out to do my PGCE, which is like the teacher training thing before you actually go into your teachers. And whilst I was doing that, I got a job in a management company, which had these white bands, Silver Sun, Raisa, and I can't remember who the other one was, but it was rock. And I lied. I lied at the interview, and I said, I really love rock music. I said, I love rock and roll. And he was like, really? That's great. Like an African girl, like a black girl, because all of this is in the UK. And, I then, to cut a long story short, I basically had to leave that interview, go straight to the bookstore where they sell all the magazines, like The Enemy, Rock Sound, Melody Maker. This was obviously back in the day.
Metalheads, etc.
Metal Hammer, all of that. And I crammed. I read about Shed 7, all these bands that I thought were made up, but I somehow put them all in my head and came back the next day and I was like, this is it. And I got the job. And that was the start, because I was booking taxis for the artists that were signed to this management company.
Artists don't pay taxes, Taps.
No, I was
Taxis.
booking taxis.
Oh, taxis.
I was booking
Okay.
their cars, going to Top of the Pops.
Wow.
I was booking I was saying, you need to be up at 6 o'clock. You need to be up at 6 o'clock. The car's coming at 6 o'clock, so I would wake up even
like get him to
earlier.
the Greek.
Right? So I would wake up even earlier and I'd be like, are you up? Because the car's going to come. And I would literally fall asleep like, okay, the band need to be there by 7. The band need to be by the 7. So I'd wake up at 5, call them at 5:30. Are you in the car? Yeah, Taps. Yeah, Taps. Yeah, we're getting in the car. So that's pretty much where I started. Like, I was like, I like this. I could do this.
You like bossing people around?
Yeah, I really do.
I've
I
also
really do.
noticed that. Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, true. And then I stayed there for a year. Actually, I was only supposed to stay for a period of 3 months, but we ended up getting on so well, you know, that I stayed for a year. And from there, I went on to Warner Music, and I started at reception. And since, basically, I just worked my way up from reception at Warner Music. That I did a stint in marketing. And then I basically found a home. I found my passion in publicity, in press.
I can't believe that you spent so much detail in describing working with a bunch of bands that no one's ever heard of, and then you say, "Oh, and then I went to Warner Music, and that's it."
Yeah, kind of jumped over.
Come on, Taps.
No, because I went to Warner Music. So basically, when I went to Warner Music, I was the girl, and I need to paint a picture, if you'll allow me to paint a ppicture. So, you know, in the UK, you know, the music industry is quite built up, you know, and I was, at the time, I used to wear like all those African head wraps. I mean, I still do, really. But I used to wear all these African head wraps, and I used to wear like all these high-heeled shoes and little pencil skirts, and I used to take my job at reception very seriously because I was the face of Warner.
Yeah.
So whether you were the head of EMI, whether you were the head of Sony, whether you were the head coming to have a meeting with my bosses,
Grammar Records,
right?
Yeah.
I was the face, so I took that very seriously, and that was my learning. That's where I cut my teeth. I recognised who was who. I used to read. There's a publication called Music Week, which is like the industry bible. Anything that happens within the music industry in the UK, it's a little bit like Billboard. Yeah, that's basically
like Parade.
A little bit like Parade. Yeah. So I got to know who's who very quickly. I knew lawyers, I knew, you know, publishers, I knew, you know, and I did this for 2 years, you know, religiously, just taking the job very seriously, even though actually my job was to answer the phones and to connect people through. But it's, you know, it's very important, you know, if I'm putting the lawyer from whoever to the lawyer at Warner, that's a really big thing. It's a conversation piece, actually. I'd be like, yep, I put through the lawyer.
Yes. You know that deal they just signed?
Very
Oh, that was me.
impressive.
I still did.
I bet I connected that.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for me, would have fallen through, guys. Come on.
I connected the phone call.
Trey songs, Trey, look, I'm the one who put you through. Remember me? Yeah.
So basically, whilst I was on reception, I thought, I can't stay here, you know? I really want to get into the music industry, but, you know, a lot of people say, I want to work in the music industry, but they have no idea what that means. And I understand that because I was that person. I was that girl. I started to write. I used to freelance. I used to go to gigs and I used to do reviews and send them to people. Say, look, publish my review. Please publish my review. You know, it's really good. I went to see Erykah Badu. I went to see Jill Scott at, you know, like really, really cool, like moments like, where were you when Jill Scott first came to the UK? I was there. And I even wrote about it. And I sent
When
it
was
through.
that?
Do we really need to talk about we really need to talk about dates? Do you know what I mean? But let me just say, is when she dropped, like, my name is.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, and I would send this through, and eventually some editors were like, oh, you work at Warner, right? I was like, yeah. Okay, cool. Because they must have thought, well, this is going to mean access to, you know, and they let me write for them. And so suddenly I had published work, you know, in print, which was obviously very impressive. So I would, you know, make sure that people at Warner knew that this is what I was doing in my spare time. And eventually they would allow me to work on campaigns within the company. So basically that's how that started. And if I cut out a lot of other boring stuff, eventually I got a job assisting the head of press at East West Records, and that's basically where my career began, because she was a really lovely woman. Her name was Anita Mackay, and really, really lovely. And she allowed me basically to grow by throwing me into the deep end. She says, Taps, have you heard of Missy Elliot? Yeah, like, I love her. you know, she's like, yeah, okay, cool. I need you to go to LA because, like, you know, she's doing a press junket, and we need somebody to represent the company, and I'm far too busy to go. So you just go, okay. And basically, I learned on the road. And that's how it was. And all of a sudden I was organising journalists to fly to Los Angeles and do these interviews, pretty much like how we're doing now, but on a bigger scale. Not that this isn't big, but do you know what I mean?
There's a subtle shot across the bow there.
Exactly.
It didn't hurt.
It hurt me.
It's like Monty Python. I am not hurt. It is but a scratch. Okay, so basically, when you started at Warner, did you have a plan? Like, I want this to lead to somewhere, or you literally were just like, I love music. Let me see where it takes me, and put all your efforts into it.
It was the latter. I just love music. I just wanted to be around music, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to be in a job that, you know, would pay me to do what I love. And I didn't have a plan. If I had a plan, I would probably be a lot richer. No, not a lot richer. I would probably be rich because I'm not rich, you know. But it was good. It was about firsts, you know. It was about proving to myself that I could do it, you know. And and pretty much that's how it started.
Okay. So right. So we've understood how you got yourself into the music industry.
Yeah.
Right, and that's dope. So now, what we want to know is, like, what did you start achieving?
Okay.
How did you start building up the name that was Taponeswa?
So, I think Warner's has always been, you know, the place that allowed me to really, it's almost like an independent label. So at the time I was working for East West and Elektra. So I used to do most of the hip hop and urban music, as we would call it in the UK. So
let's make the black girl do it.
Changing faces.
She wears head wraps. She knows about this.
Exactly. But I mean, that was my passion. You know,
course.
P Diddy, Lil Kim.
It was Puff Daddy at the time, wasn't it?
Puff Daddy at the time. I was actually around when he changed his name from Puff Daddy to P Diddy, and there were some very stern emails from lawyers. And look, we need to drop the P. You know, we're going from Puff Daddy to P Diddy, and then from P Diddy to Diddy.
She's just given us a day, so that's 2001 after his court case. Now we know. Ha ha! I knew she'd slip.
So, you know, so I started working with people like Brandy, people like Changing Faces, Fabolous, who else? Keith Sweat. Just like, there's a lot.
Check the name dropping.
There's a lot.
So when you say working with them, what did you do exactly?
So basically, it would be my job to organise their PR in the UK. So they would have a record, and I would pitch it to publications
in the UK.
You know, in the UK. So my thing was, of course, we would want to give the media, the core media, what they wanted, you know. So hip hop magazines, there was a magazine called Hip Hop Connection, which was like the go-to, pretty much like this blog, you know. It's like you got to do this.
I sense your sarcasm.
No, I'm being very serious.
Okay, cool.
I'm very much, you know, one of those where it's you've got to keep, you know, the grassroots, you know, the people that have supported from the beginning. You've got to make sure that these people get what they need, you know, in order to, you know, to be in the game. But at the same time, it was always trying to be aspirational to see, like, how much hip hop can we get into the mainstream, because that's where we really start to see the records do different things, you know. So, you know, for instance, we did Fabolous with ID magazine, which was a huge deal, because, you know, fashion magazines like ID, they choose who they want, you know, to be. But because of that kind of persistent, bossy part of me, you know, we were able to kind of achieve, you know, that kind of thing. And also with Missy Elliot, you know, it was one of the big ambitions to get her. There's a publication called The Enemy. Are you familiar with it?
Do I know the enemy? Do I know the enemy?
But, you know, this publication is pretty much like everybody in the music industry, certainly outside of the urban community, that's what they read. And I was just like, she needs to be on the cover. You know, she's a black woman who's achieved X, Y, and Z. Do you know what I mean? Like, she needs to be in that mix, and it happened. So from there, I was just like, I like this. I like how this feels, you know. So I'm always trying to push the boundaries and trying to create firsts and trying to create moments where people will remember. And even now, people say, I remember when Missy was on. Just like, she was one of the first black females or first black people, you know, to grace the cover of that illustrious magazine that we all love so much. Shout out to the enemy.
Nice. All right, so basically, from what you described, you're in a sense the PR department.
Yes.
How are you building those relationships with publications?
Well, I mean, just like how it works normally, you know. First and foremost, you just have to have a relationship, you know. You need to know who the editors are. You need to know who the writers are, the freelancers are, who's going to be sympathetic to your cause, you know. And luckily, you know, I was, you know, back then I was always out. So I would see these random people and I'd be like, okay, you're here. I'd save them and I'd be like, oh yeah, I saw you at the Fabolous party, or I saw you at this, you know, at the Trey Songs launch, you know, and I know that you write for these guys. How do you what do you think our chances are with getting these guys into the publication? And it just kind of started from there. It didn't always work. It didn't always, you know, like I've pitched some really outlandish things, you know, which I won't mention because they never happened. But you know, so yeah, pretty much that's how it started.
So how long were you at Warner before you left?
So in total, I actually I left last July actually. So I was there.
So 15
years.
Oh, okay.
15 years.
Okay, cool. All right. If we were to personalize it a little more, it's a big thing. Say I worked with lots of artists at Warner, but in particular, people that you actually had a one-on-one working relationship with.
And some cool stories.
Yeah, tell us.
I've worked with Estelle. She's somebody that has, you know, she's one of my girls. She's a really, really good friend of mine. And we kind of came up, you know, at the time when I was at reception, she was a journalist at a publication, an online publication called Darker Than Blue. And I remember the day she left that publication to say, you know what, Taps, I'm going to focus on the music. And I said, really? You're going to focus on the music? And she was like, yeah, I'm going to focus on the music. And she came out, did her thing, and she came, and when 1980 just became a massive anthem, I was like, oh my god, that's my girl, you know. Fast forward, she ended up being signed through America via John Legend's label, so I ended up doing her publicity, you know, for American Boy, which became Grammy Award winning.
Be my American boy.
Exactly. And, you know, to this day, we still speak. I'm very, very proud of all that she's doing.
Of which she was even in Empire.
Absolutely. She's doing very amazing things, you know. She's got that spirit of a fighter, of somebody who hustles, she grinds, but she's super, super talented.
I have to say something, though. When Lo and I interviewed her,
yeah,
from what we've seen on TV and whatever, you know, she seems like she's got so much energy, etc., etc. But in the interview, she was just kind of like,
might have been an off day. It's fine. It's fine.
Hey, Estelle, what's going on?
That's fine. It's fine.
Nothing.
Yeah. Might have been an off day.
Nothing much. I was like, come on. But anyway, it was cool. I'm so glad that we got there.
Schedules.
All right, Estelle, dope. Okay.
Yeah, Estelle. I've also worked really closely with Ed Sheeran. I've worked really closely with Jay-Z. I've worked really closely with Rudimental. I've worked very closely with...
Whoa. Let's rewind a little bit. Ed Sheeran?
Ed Sheeran, yeah.
Wait, what? What? Yo, we like it. Yo, we like it. We like it. You know. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to Jehovah.
I worked the Blueprint Free. and that was a really, really good project. That was a really, really good project to work. You know, I got to see, you know, just how, you know, somebody who I respect and admire a lot, you know.
Ed Sheeran.
I really respect, you know, Mr. Carter, you know, as I would call him. And it was a real experience working on that project, because I got to see just how he is as an artist, but also as a businessman, kind of, you know.
Because no, he's not a businessman.
He's a business man.
Absolutely.
So like when you work with an artist like that, do they come to you with the album already completed and they're like, okay, this is the body of work we have. What's going to work in this market? How do we push it? Or are you involved in the whole creation process and you're like, okay, this will work as a first single, this will work as a second single. How deep does the collaboration go?
So, I mean, because Atlantic, you know, so I've worked for Warner Music, which has lots and lots of labels, East West, Atlantic, Elektra and East West don't really exist anymore, as it were.
You ruined them.
It's but with Atlantic, you know, with domestic signings, if I just explain, in the UK we sign UK acts for the UK. Then there's a lot more involvement. So Estelle, Estelle was almost a little bit different, because even though she was UK, she was signed in America. But let's just say Rudimental, Ed Sheeran, you know, Wiley, people like that. We get, you know, very much involved in what do you think the first single should be, second single should be, etc., because they're in our territory, you know. So at the process when we're looking at doing publicity pictures and, you know, first videos, etc., you know, we've got a lot to contribute. With Americans, it's slightly harder because they're signed to the American label first, and then they're rolled out internationally. So with somebody like Jay, he already had the blueprint. I mean, someone like Jay-Z would already have that anyway. But, you know, they'll come with their finished product and they will say A, B, and C, you know, and then we advise on how to roll out in our specific territory, you know, whether this track, for instance, Flow Rider is an example. Even though he's signed to America, he has a lot, you know, his fan base really came from Europe. So we decided, no, we need this single first. We need this video to look like this. We need, you know, so there we have a lot more influence.
Okay, so it's basically a combination of where they're signed and where their market is.
Exactly.
And who you're trying to appeal to first.
Exactly.
So pretty much Jay-Z already had the Blueprint 3.
Oh, of course.
And
Atlantic...
He did. UK was handling.
So we came on as a marketing partner.
Okay.
Yeah. So we would come up with ways into how to get this music into, you know.
When did Jay do the Live Nation deal? Wasn't it before Blueprint 3?
The Live Nation.
The Live Nation deal, that was just for performances at the time. It wasn't for his.
Yeah, I mean, it was concurrent. So it was,
okay. Oh, okay.
All right, cool. I mean, that's very interesting. So, I mean, if we can break it down into actual individual guys. So, you said you've described how you worked with Jay-Z. You also mentioned, you said Ed Sheeran, Jay-Z, Rudimental. Ed Sheeran, for example. I mean, he's blown up worldwide now. I know he started off as a UK act. I was listening to him. No one else was.
Really? Dan, were you?
I was.
No, he really was.
I really tried to get everyone onto Edge. I was like, guys, this dude is dope. Listen to this stuff. Yeah, man. See, and then now people are like, Dan, have you heard Ed Sheeran? Like, get out of here.
I've been listening.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I first heard Ed on Reg 32's album. That's when I caught on.
Right.
To it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you've been down.
Yeah. We the grime heads, man.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Phil used to be into grime.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time. I'm still into grime. I just don't have the time.
Yeah, grime's good.
Do you know what I loved? I loved Yellow Wolf and Ed Sheeran's little EP that they did.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so great.
That was a good one.
Anyway, so yeah, how did you actually... Ed Sheeran viewed you as a mentor. and he dedicated his mobile award to you.
It wasn't actually a mobile award, it was a Q award.
Whatever.
It was a Q award. And he did actually thank me for, it was quite an interesting journey with Ed, because, we used to go to his shows, which were always sold out. And we used to think it was pretty amazing. Like, I remember seeing him at the Barfly, which has got a capacity of about 200 people. And I was just like, oh my God, this place is ram. But Ed is about to play Wembley Stadium in about 2 weeks, and it's completely sold out. So the levels have definitely grown.
So how did you mentor him to achieve these levels, girl?
Well, I think he's pretty much one of the smartest young overachievers in the industry today.
He looks weird.
No.
He really does.
He does, but he's like, he's really he's super talented. He's super, like, he's about his business. He's the kind of artist that I like to see in the industry, because it's not just about being told whatever. I mean, obviously there's a part that they will listen to, say, okay, you could say this, or you could say that, or you could listen to, you could do this differently, or you could do that differently. But he pretty much has an idea of where he wants to go, and pretty much what you see is him.
So what were you doing for him?
So I did his publicity.
Okay.
So in the beginning, it was just like trying to get, people to buy into the idea of this guy, because his performance, if you've ever seen it, he doesn't perform with a full band. It was just him and a loop pedal. And it's just like, what do you mean? Is it with a loop pedal? Like him and a guitar and and I was like, you need to come down. And slowly but surely, we got the masses, involved and engaged, and before you knew it, people were calling me instead of me calling them. So.
When you're working that close with an artist, are you also like giving them cues on how to brand themselves and how to dress, so that you can then sell that look to journalists as an interesting story?
Yeah, but every artist is different. Somebody like Ed, there is no real telling. You can't really tell him how to look and how to dress, because he's just himself. That's one of the really beautiful things about Ed Sheeran. He's just him. I mean, but in the past, we will have, it is part of my job to look at, whether we should get a stylist on board, who will pull the latest collections from, stuff that's coming out in the next 2 seasons, to make sure that our artist is, as fashion forward as they can be. But sometimes
maybe
people just gravitate towards real, authenticity.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that really, really worked in
Is that why you don't cut his hair? Anyway, so, okay.
I mean, his publicist, not his mum.
I thought you were a fan then. Why don't you just throwing shade?
So here's the thing, right? So I'm a huge Ed Sheeran fan. So the reason we're bringing up all these questions, besides the interest, of course, is also, we're at Two Broke Twimbos, we've always been trying to push the agenda of how do we build up a Zimbabwean artist to reach international levels? How do we get a Zimbabwean artist to go sell out Wembley Stadium or whatever, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? And so far it's looking very dire. I must say, it looks like it's a very difficult thing to achieve. So,
well, I think there's a Zimbabwean artist that's on her way to selling out shows. Tinashe, you might have heard of her.
Technically,
as much
she has
as
a
we
blue
love,
passport, not a green
as
one.
much as we love to claim her and whatever.
But I mean, do you know what? I was having this conversation the other day with some people. I think that sometimes when I speak to Zimbabwean creatives and speak to Zimbabwean musicians and people that are just like, so creative and, just like so cool,
Wait, is she saying it low?
It sounds like a low thing.
I'm like, when you're saying, how do we create an artist that's going to sell out at Wembley Stadium? Let's not think about Wembley. What's the biggest stadium here?
National Sports Stadium.
Yeah, so let's work on that. Who is the artist that's going to sell out National Sports Stadium? Yeah? Do you see what I mean? Let's start at home.
Yeah.
Because that's what needs to happen first. Because, you know, before Ed Sheeran was internationally recognized, we had to do, like I told you, he started out selling out at the Barfly, and we were so super amped of like, oh my God, this is a lot of people. This was in the UK. He did the groundwork. You know, he's not a flyby overnight success. You know, he worked his way from being, you know, at one point to selling out, you know, the Forum, you know, and, you know, that's got a capacity of just over 5,000 people, you know, and then worked his way to sell out venues in Germany, in Italy, in France, and then eventually in the States. He was on the Taylor Swift's tour, which really, really helped him crack America. So in Zimbabwe, you need to be able to sell out the Book Cafe first, or I don't know if it's still existing or whatever.
Book Cafe is gone.
Okay,
is gone.
but you need to be able to sell out these venues here first, you know, and then be number one on the ZFM and Star FM and Power FM charts, you know, and then go on to crack Joburg, you know, or Durban, sell out. Do you see what I mean? And then you you can't just have a song and then crack Wembley. Do you see what I mean?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Another issue that Zimbabwean acts have is they plateau. So, for example, let's look at the hip hop music. Look at Stunner. Stunner is undoubtedly Zimbabwe's biggest hip hop act, but he's plateaued at the level where he can't expand outside of Zimbabwe, or he's doing it but very slow. And his frustration has always been that I've never had a video played on international satellite TV. I don't really get radio spins on international radio.
He's a brilliant example.
Does he have a plugger?
See, there we go. That's exactly why we're speaking to you.
See, these are things that we are...
Because tell Stunner to call me. I'll tell you the step by step how it works. Yeah? You need to have a plugger, first and foremost.
Because I mean, like, he's a brilliant example. He's pretty much, as a Zim hip-hop act, gotten as far as he can get in Zim.
Yeah.
Or it seems that way.
He needs to have a plugger, and he needs to have somebody that is, you know, with a concerted, you know, vision to push him in markets where there is an interest, you know, because I've listened to Stunner and I think he's amazing, and you know, so you know, but at the same time he's doing music which is still very local to, you know, to the ear. Like, you need to be Zimbabwean to kind of fully grasp what he's doing. Right? Am I right? So he needs to have somebody plugging him in these markets first. You can't just be sitting here in Zimbabwe saying, my music's not being played on international radio, if nobody's pushing it. And that, you need to pay somebody to do that, because that's a job. Essentially, that's what I do.
I see. Yes. Okay.
So, but if you want, we'll get an email address after the show.
Just depending on how much you.
But actually, no. We will not give out the email address. Contact us, and then we'll provide you with a quotation for said services.
Yeah.
All right. No, Taps. You know what? Just your knowledge and expertise, having been in the international field, is priceless, and we would like to drain you dry of such knowledge. Perhaps at this point, what we could say is are there any artists right now that you're noticing that have the potential, as long as they get their plugger, which by the way sounds sounds terrible.
No, I mean, the thing is, as an artist, obviously you are supposed to just concentrate on your artistry. You focus on just being the best artist that you can be, but have a team. Have a good team. And I always think, maybe because I come from a publicity background and I've been studying like how publicity works or how celebrity works in Zimbabwe, but at least know who the editor of Parade is, who the editor of Jewel magazine, who the editor of, you know, Divas Inc.
By the way, we're gonna charge all these people for mentions.
All right.
In this, yes.
Absolutely do that. You know, but
keep going.
Just you know, and then, you know, know the difference between the national media, you know, the H Metros and the Heralds and whatever it is that, you know, because unfortunately it's part and parcel of the game, right? You want to A, create good music, but B, be visible, right? Because that's how you become imprint, you know, you're kind of solidified in people's minds, you know. But then when it comes, but certainly from a hip hop perspective, then you need to know who those DJs that are going to let your music breathe, you know. So, you know, you've got the platforms like ZFM and Star FM and Power FM and Radio Zimbabwe, if they play hip hop, you know. But at the same time, you should also have your eye in our neighboring countries. I think if I was a Zimbabwean artist, I would want to make sure that, you know, I've got my eye on the main DJs at Metro or at YFM, you know, at places like that, because that's how I'm going to grow. You know, that's how I'm going to come out of a Zim box and move into, you know, other markets. Botswana, for instance, you know, Kenya, you know, huge sort of hip hop. They have huge hip hop followings. So, as you know, if you're not that way inclined as an artist, then make sure you've got someone in your team who's got that as their focus, because that will be the thing that will separate you from sort of staying, you know, and reaching your plateau here, you know. But I always say, if you know, you have to at least try. You know, somebody said to me the other day, because at the moment I'm working at MTV, and somebody said, how comes MTV doesn't play, you know, Zimbabwean videos? And I said, you know, they play Zimbabwean videos. I don't know if that's actually correct, but if, you know, the problem is, I look for Zimbabwean content as a Zimbabwean. If I leave that job at MTV, nobody's going to be doing that. So I know who's releasing videos. Do you see what I mean? But the videos that come in, do you know what I mean, aren't the video... I don't know if that makes sense.
Try using words.
Not everyone who's releasing these videos that are supposed to be on the playlist don't actually send them in. They just say, why are they not on?
I get you. Let's talk about your MTV. So you left Atlantic.
Yes.
And came to Africa.
Yes, I did. I did.
To work in South Africa.
I did.
At MTV.
I did.
Doing what exactly?
As the head of talent and music.
Head of talent and music.
Yes.
Okay. That's impressive.
Yes.
Okay. So what differences did you see between the music industry in the UK and here in Africa?
The difference is...
Specifically South Africa, that is, yeah.
I just see that, you know, it's been a lot of fun working with the music that I really, really love, you know. It's really nice to kind of, you know, to be involved with like AKA and Casper and Donald and Uhuru and, you know, and things like that. Whereas when I was in the UK, I would be working, you know, very sort of mainstream kind of, you know.
It's like the Jay-Z's. I mean,
you know.
Yawn.
No. But it's always been a passion of mine, you know. Even when I was at Atlantic, I would be heavily involved, busybodying myself, you know, in Nigerian music, because I used to love, you know, that's what I used to turn up to. So P-Square, Banj, you know, that was me. But it's nice that now is my job, you know. I think that it's been a learning curve, because I'm from a thing where, you know, we focus very heavily on first week sales and how you roll out and how you market, you know, making sure you know, tracks are available on Spotify, YouTube, pre-rolls, all of those type of things. Whereas here, the formula is very much just be hot. Just be hot. You can release your stuff on YouTube. Just get hot. And then you'll get shows. And then you'll get the brand endorsements, which I actually think is a forward-thinking way of marketing yourself, you know, because everyone globally struggles with, unless you're Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran, you know, he struggles with.
Look at you know, Ed Sheeran. Okay, all right.
Do you know what I mean? But you know, I've seen acts like the Cash Time family, KO, you know, have a
Hashtag
massive,
Josie for life.
massive respect for those guys and what they're doing. AKA Casper, and then at the house circles, you know, people like Black Coffee, they're doing really amazing things, and it's just interesting to see culturally how it works, especially in the context of Zimbabwe, because in South Africa, similar to similar to Nigeria, they love their artists. So when you've got massive brands, you know, at the moment, this weekend, it's Durban July, you know, they'll book the best, you know, all the parties, whether it's Miller's Boomtown or whatever it is, they'll book the best artists. People come out in their droves and they'll support and they'll dance and they'll, you know. In Nigeria, it's the same thing. But I've yet to kind of see a similar setup here. Do you know what I mean? Where corporates are saying, we are investing in our artists, we're going to pull these crowds and we're going to, you know, really showcase really good production and what have you.
I think if we had a much more solid way of distributing this art to everyone, so you know, more than just ZBC, you know what I mean, have several TV stations, have a music station that's for Zimbabwean music that actually everyone watches, and not everyone's kind of hoping that, I hope I get DSTV, I have to pay for DS, you know what I mean. And if you have that situation, then people can start knowing about artists and start liking them and start going to their shows, which is obviously one of the things, but there's so many issues.
Yeah, I think the issue with corporates is something that I've been talking about on this show since we started. It's basically there's not a lot of investment in, or whenever corporates do invest, they're trying to invest at the lowest possible value and milk as much out. Whereas, as you said, but it's also related to how much fans are willing to pay.
That's true.
Because if fans aren't willing to put the money up to go to these shows, then corporates don't see the value in investing.
So it's a catch-22, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, how's a fan gonna know 10 Diamonds music unless, you know, he's regularly. And then KFC, who recently did an endorsement for it. I don't know what they did. They've got a whole deal that they've put together with 10 Diamond. So KFC then is going to be like, you know what? Because you have this many followers and you can pull this many people, we're going to pay you this much just to say that you eat KFC and appear in our adverts. So yeah, it's a chicken and egg situation. It's just terrible.
I see what you did.
Yeah, no,
I see
what we do.
That was a zinger, Dan. They really should pay us for this.
I know, right? This is brilliant. Let us write your campaign ads. But yeah. Okay. I know, we like it. So MTV Mamas are coming up. Anyway,
no, it's actually that's a double thing.
Yes, I know.
It's MTV Armor.
Is that keeping you busy?
Very.
What's some of the things to really look forward to?
Well, July 18th is going to be, you know, quite explosive. It's going to be, you know, a very, very a good day. Even though I'm sure my colleagues, you know, in Joburg would just be like, we can't wait until it's over.
Of course, so much work.
No, it's going to be good. You know, we're celebrating 10 years of African music, celebrating 10 years of MTV actually being on the continent, and you know. And I'm, you know, I was a massive fan of MTV Base, which is why I kind of left my job in the UK to come out and, you know, and be based in Johannesburg. But I can see, or I feel the difference they have made, especially in the quality of the music videos, because, you know, once they appeared on the ground, it really brought the levels. You know, people really had to step up their game from the first video that was ever played, the Two-Faced African Queen, you know, to right now where you know, people are just...
I even remember when you guys launched, when MTV Base launched, they had a program where, like, I think it was Clarence Peters and Double HP and other acts came together, and they literally sat down, and they had a collaboration with Amory and Double HP, where they sat down with American and European directors and artists and said, this is how you shoot a video, this is how you make a song.
Exactly.
Which is something
and
that's lacking here.
and that's something that has been really sort of integral to what Base is about, just trying to raise the levels, but not in a condescending way, but just in a way that understands, the talent pool that we have here, but just how far we could push it, because sometimes people just don't know, sometimes people don't know. So just bringing the intel to the ground can be very, very productive.
Doesn't MTV want to fly out to burgeoning, entrepreneuring,
absolutely,
bloggers and podcasters from Zimbabwe?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Well,
tell us the dream.
No. I'm sure they do, but that's not my department.
Damn it!
That's not my department, but I can certainly put you in touch with somebody who can.
It's not too late.
It's not too late at all.
Okay, we can discuss.
We can discuss this offline
because we got to bring this to Zimbabwe, and we gotta get MTV involved with the Zimbabwean market as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And who better than
we're following. Then we are key test makers and opinion
absolutely
leaders.
This is indeed the case.
Yeah, and trust me, I think with perseverance and hard work and this kind of professionalism, let's see where we can push these.
Excellent.
Because everybody has to start somewhere.
So, if you could let us know the date that you have these conversations, so that we can buy enough YouTube views beforehand.
Okay, cool.
So, one of the main gripes that a lot of people have is that MTV Base mainly focuses on South Africa and Nigeria, and then everyone else is just basically collecting scraps. In terms of what your guys' mandate as an organization is, what do you look for in terms of content, and what do you look for in what you support?
So, one of the things would be if you go onto mtvbase.com, you will onto the website, you will actually see what the video specifications are when you submit a video to MTV Base. Pretty much MTV is trying to support local talent, and when I say local, I mean Pan-African talent, but one of my biggest gripes is it's people you need to submit in the first place. You need to be sending your videos, even if you're not getting the response that you want, if you're rejected, but at least you're in the game. Don't complain that you're not being played, but you actually don't know who's the person to say, who's the person to send to. Not just me. There's a girl called Melanie. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me. But there's a girl called Melanie that you should also hit up. There's a guy called Lanray in Nigeria who should also hit up, and there's another guy called Daniel in Nigeria who should also hit up. They're gonna kill me for saying this, but
gems on this podcast.
But actually, you need to be in. You need to be in that mix in the first place, and secondly, just if you're going to be in the music business, you need to have a tough skin. If somebody rejects your video, ask them why. And when you hear the responses, then work on that. You must remember that this is a very competitive game, and in the MTV office, if I could let you see just how many submissions in a week we get, let alone in the month, and then on of that we've got our own criteria. There's a specific amount that we have to play local, and then a specific, just as ZFM has a mandate, and there's a specific amount that has to be international. So then we look at, but one of my advice would be to actually watch the channel and see where does your video fit. From the stuff that we're playing, where does your video fit? Because that's a good starting point. Do you see what I mean? People will talk about sending their videos in, but they've never watched the channel. They don't have the channel. They don't watch it. So how do you know? And then you would get upset if you don't. But if you don't know what the brand is, do you see what I mean?
Okay, here's the thing, Taponeswa.
Sorry, before you go that, you spoke of the mandate for local and international. When you say local in terms of MTV Base, are you referring to South Africa and Nigeria?
No. I'm talking about Pan-Africa.
Oh, okay.
As in African videos.
So African and then international.
I was gonna say she's a hot property. so we cannot keep her for much longer. In fact, we have overstepped our permissions. However, I would just like to speak of the crowning glory of your achievements. Pretty much the most amazing thing that you've done, and could be the defining moment in your entire career and possibly in the history of music in Africa and the world.
Be top of a CV, bro. Top
and general.
Of a CV.
Actually, it could be your whole CV. I believe you did some work with Off the Wall with Dan and Lo.
I did indeed.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's my crowning glory, absolutely. And I'm very, very proud to have worked with both you and Lorraine.
It was
very,
a pleasure.
very proud of the show. And I think that some of the interviews that we did with people like D'banj, people like Estelle, you know, people like
Eve.
Victoria, Kamani, Eve, you know, like, yeah, we did some stuff. And we still have people like Fuse who are still trying to get.
Yeah, no, we've got a long line of artists trying to get in.
Just trying to get in. And it's just
we
like,
can't,
you know,
we can't just take it. Look, just because you have a major hit that's you know gone platinum or whatever, it's not good enough. I mean, you know, you really have to show us a dedication,
exactly,
that you want to be on Off the Wall. And I mean, you know, it's one.
No. I've always got my eye on Zim, and at the moment, I'm really, really. Like absolutely obsessed by a Zimbabwean act called Natty O, who's signed to Kenako Music. He's got a song called, God, what's it called?
You sent it to me. Let me just quickly check.
I'm obsessed, but I know that it's a shorter title. It's not that, like, I'm obsessed by it. I just can't say the title. It's Takaba Kure, no? Is that the
Hold on, let me find it because you sent it to me, and I quite
please play it, because this song, like I actually think that Come From Far. I actually think that this guy is, you know, the approach that he had to writing this song is, you know, the way I love the things that I love about Winky D. He just had a brilliant approach lyrically to his songwriting, and Natty displays the same thing. The delivery is amazing. It actually sounds, obviously because I listen to a lot of Afrobeats, it actually sounds very Niger, very Niger dancehall. But he himself makes the reference that some people think I sound Jamaican. I didn't have him down as a Jamaican. I had him down as a Nigerian, which actually is a good thing. It's a compliment because, you know, the Nigerian sound is quite on point. But the fact that he mixes with the Shona and even what he's talking about, you know, from where we were to where we are now, this boy, just watch out for him.
All right,
Absolutely.
so I suppose we can end up with his song.
Thank you.
All right, we shall do so. I also feel like you're related to him because...
No, I'm not.
No,
I've never even met him.
I'm kidding.
I've never even met him. So Natty O, if you're out there, please call me because I think I love you.
If you want to do a song with Jay-Z...
No. No.
Stretch there, Dan.
I mean, no.
Look, Taps, I you know what? I feel like you're going to travel off and go to the MTV Amas and you're going to go all over the world. Next time that you're around, in a couple of months, you know, we could just do a quick update and have another episode. I think
absolutely, and you can film
there's a lot to cover.
Yeah, definitely. But no, also I want to just give you guys a really big shout out because, like, honestly, you just need to keep doing stuff like this. And sometimes this is the most, you know, unrewarded thing, you know, but what you guys are doing is what should be happening. You're an integral part on how we in Zimbabwe will grow our thing. You know, even I watched the Casper interview that you guys did, and he loves it. He loves the concept, you know, and that's how it starts. You know, we start somewhere, but you know, the level of professional. Phil, I know he's always in South Africa, blowing, you know, like saying taps, you know, to a point where I'm like, of course, you know, we need to make sure that these things happen. You know, you're committed and dedicated, and I love that about you guys. Please keep up the good work. And you know, let's create, let's keep creating, you know, and when I fall down, just keep saying, Taps, you promised me this and this didn't happen. I know you've blatantly kept your mouth shut. Thank you for that. You know, but it's not, you know, but we have to be, I keep talking about, we have to be in the game in the first place, you know.
Yeah.
Thanks, girl.
Socks, guys.
Should we hug it out? All right, cool. So, guys, we're going to live because we're going to hug it out.
Okay.
But
and play Natty O.
Yes,
Yeah.
like Natty O, Takavakure, came from far. Like Taps' current pick of the week.
Pick of the week.
So yeah,
Pick of
by the
month.
time this episode comes out, don't forget to check out the Electric Arena review. We'll have some content for you guys on that festival. Yeah, guys. iTunes. Please don't forget, rate and review on iTunes. We did crack the front page once. We're going to do it again. SoundCloud. Don't forget to follow. And like our episodes on SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter.
You don't even
YouTube,
just create a SoundCloud
Stitcher.
account if you don't have one, just to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'll really help us.
Just to boost the ego.
Because when Taponeswa goes to speak to MTV, we're going to need numbers. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much it. So keep subscribing, keep following, etc., etc. And we got more content coming up. It's just, it's been a tough couple of months, being very broke as we are. So it's difficult. But we shall persevere on freebies.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And on that note, we're out.
We broke.
Kenako music.
Africa's finest, yes, I'm the baddest. Some of them are call me your highness. Yes, I'm timeless, but to the timeless. That's all the while. Kwanda bakure, kaina easy at all. And it's okay to my shule, come here, come from far. So me tell you, take over. Kwataba ndo kure mukoma. Tekutanga ba itin kwa bachoma. Right about nobody owner. My guys, them are ladies. Them listen to the song like daily. Bangwe bachita kwita steady. Them call me yes, daily. Some of them call me Jamaican. A ting-a-ling in a diversion. But I'm straight up Zimbabwean. DJ Tamuka for division. Up close, my baby Arifu. Whining, yes to the soul. Some of them, yes, them can't let me go. Why yo, I Panda Bakure, kaina easy at all. And it's okay to my shule, come here, come from far. So me tell you, take over. Kwataba ndo kure mukoma. Utanga ba itin kwa bachoma. Right about nobody gonna. Karisan in a vodka, in a me hand. Ramwe machich coca, in a the dance. Them call me Skywalker. Yes, me no pre-jelly water. Yo, again. Panema beba kuda whiskey. Tabuya neji bodoro. A little later, banenge baba tipsy. Some of them just can't let me go. Africa's finest, yes, I'm the baddest. Some of them call me your highness. Yes, I'm timeless, but to the timeless. That's all the while. Panda bakure, kaina easy at all. And it's okay to my shule. Come here, come from far. So me tell you, take over. Kwataba ndo kure mukoma. Tekutanga ba itin kwa bachoma. Right about nobody owner. My guys, them are ladies. Them listen to the song like daily. Bangwe bachita kwita steady. Them call me yes, daily. Some of them call me Jamaican. A ting-a-ling in a diversion. But I'm straight up Zimbabwean. DJ Tamuka for division. Up close, my baby Arifu. Whining, yes to the soul. Some of them, yes, them can't let me go. Why yo, I Panda Bakure, kaina easy at all. And it's okay to my shule, come here, come from far. So me tell you, take over. Kwataba ndo kure mukoma. Kutanga ba itin kwa bachoma. Right about nobody owner. Panda Bakure, kaina easy at all. And it's okay to my shule, come here, come from far. So me tell you, take over. Kwataba ndo kure mukoma. Kutanga ba itin kwa bachoma. Right about nobody owner. Yeah. Na. The ladies come around. Yeah, DJ Tamuka. I tell him again, that's all the why. You see me?